youth of this country had always been at the forefront of change. The founding fathers, from Obafemi Awolowo to Nnamdi Azikiwe to Ahmadu Bello, were youths in their prime with a vision for a better Nigeria. Even the military government were fostered by young people. Today, the story has changed. Many of those who were there at the beginning are still there, eating away the future of our youth, relegating our bright young minds to spectators at the table of destiny. The youths cannot run for national elective offices. All they are considered good enough for is to be thugs or so-called youth leaders. So when the voices of the youths became too loud, they passed the Not Too Young to Run bill in 2018. Unfortunately, although the bill reduced the age requirement to run, there's no age limit restricting anyone from contesting. To dig deeper into the nuances and complexities of Nigerian politics, especially for young politicians, starting October 2022, leading up to the general elections in March 2023, we traveled interstate to interview young politicians running for elective offices, documenting their experiences in the world of politics. We started off in Ikere-Ekiti, the Center for Agriculture and Mining in Ekiti State, southwestern Nigeria, where we interviewed Simi Olushola.
When I first came, I said I wanted to run. A lot of people didn't take me serious. And I think it was the combination of all. It was the fact that I was new. They didn't know me. And that she's a woman. And a lot of people came and said, she's a woman, like, does she have the money to run, you know?
A 34-year-old electoral aspirant running for a seat in the House of Assembly under the People's Democratic Party, PDP.
We have more of a supply problem than we do of a demand problem when it comes to good governance. See, there's just too much impunity in the land. Right now, no matter how much you demand accountability from the government, we're not going to get it. And I'll refer to EndSARS. EndSARS is the biggest push, the biggest demand for accountability we've had ever, I think, or in ages. But did we get it? No, because the people on the other end were just determined not to give that accountability.
In 2019, stories began to emerge about a supposed Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. They had been set up by the government to fight armed robbery, but had instead been abusing, killing, and torturing the very people it had been sworn to protect. The killings and harassment, fueled by the unjust justice system, angered many into a protest.
So one thing that EndSARS did for me was that it hastened my decisions.
Our next stop was Oyo local government, located in the 8th most populous state in Nigeria, Jigawa, where we interviewed Bafa Saleh, a 44-year-old activist and electoral aspirant, running for a seat in the Federal House of Representatives under the new Nigeria's People Party, NNPP.
I studied in Bauchi, ATB, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. I studied architecture. After university, I got into activism. During that period, I also joined an NGO called Northern Reawakening Forum, and I was the Deputy Secretary General. During my period there was a lot of politicians that were members, that were former members, former ministers. So some of them sat me down and were like, okay, Buffer, you're into activism. You're always on TV speaking about what government should do. They told me that, look, in Nigeria, you cannot make much difference unless you're in government. So you should join politics.
Located in the northeastern part of Nigeria, bordered by Yobe to the west, Gombe to the southwest, and Adamawa to the south, is Borno State, the country's hotspot of insurgencies and terrorist attacks. Here, 35-year-old Aisha Adamu Isgay is running for a seat in the Federal House of Representatives, Chibok, Damboa, Gwaza constituency, Borno State, under the Social Democratic Party, SDP. She is the chief executive of the Umin Rashida Care Foundation, URCF, an NGO that helps the less privileged survive the scourge of poverty and suffering, especially those affected by the ongoing insurgency in Borno.
I'm Margie Baitrap. from Goza local government. I attended my primary school at Memsari Primary School, Maiduguri, and my secondary school at Kwandiga Government Girls Senior Science Secondary School, Kwandiga. I attended my higher institution at Sakashi Ibrahim College of Education. From that, I moved into business, from business to humanitarian, and humanitarian to politics now.
Campaigning elections in Nigeria is not a walk in the park, but for women in a male-dominated system, particularly in the north, it can mean the difference between life and death.
Our people are suffering even now, like women and children. They are suffering in camp now.
This is Mogulis IDP camp, originally a secondary school for children in Mafoni area of Maiduguri metropolitan city, now displaced by these dislodged families.
I know what people like women and children are facing in this insurgency. So what made me to chip into politics? Because if I elected to this House of Rep, I know the problem of the women and children.
Many times, female politicians are threatened and beaten by their male counterparts.
The situation we have right now is not really friendly for women to really participate in the Nigerian manner of politics. But one thing I want people to understand is that someone has to do it. It cannot just come and meet those ladies.
I personally, as the DG campaign, have been receiving a lot of messages regarding why am I even supporting a female candidate and then whatsoever. But we have seen men participated and we have seen what they have given us. So I feel like everybody should have equal opportunity to participate in the democratic processes. Her being a woman doesn't really affect what she wants to deliver. It's all about the mindset and what you have to offer. So I just feel like the democratic space need to be equal for everyone, and then people should be measured against their performance, not their gender or where they are coming from.
Shokoya Adewale is a farmer, event manager, project coordinator, and associate pastor, running for a seat in the Senate, Ogun East Senatorial District, Ogun State, under the Social Democratic Party, SDP.
I'm from a middle-class family, and I have the experience on the streets. God helping me, I grew up the ladder of leadership in various aspects, right from my school days, also in my religious space. My church, I've also had privilege of serving. I believe that there can be a transformation. I believe that things can be, better. Why do I need to jackpot when we can make this place another London?
To encourage young voter participation and turnout, Task Creative Company is engaging in a campaign that we have titled Vote for Nigeria. The purpose of this campaign is to highlight the importance of showing up to vote, picking up your PVC, and we're engaging the services of young influential Nigerian creatives to ensure that we spread the word with activations that are going on across 4 cities in Nigeria.
Our goal for this documentary is to tell the story of young Nigerian politicians across Nigeria, to encourage another generation of young Nigerians to join the political process, to learn from their challenges, to learn from their wins, and to learn from their failures.
Politics in Nigeria has always been chaotic for most of the country's existence as an independent state. More than 20 years after civilian rule was established, the nation continues to suffer high unemployment rates, insecurity, and substandard medical facilities that have gotten worse over time.
Young people are increasingly linchpin to holding this country together. We are so integral to what makes this country such a place of opportunity, such a place of promise. We are also the ones that deliver that promise, and that begins with young people being part of the leadership process.
Young Nigerians can't afford to be passive in our democratic process. We need to get involved.
The EndSARS protest of October 2020 undoubtedly was a civic awakening for Nigerian youths. It was backed by different organizations like the Feminist Coalition, FEMCO, EndSARS Response, Mentally Aware Nigeria, and the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. The movement demonstrated the importance of widespread participation in the fight for justice and made it clear that the youths were no longer intent on being benched in government affairs. It caused a lot of youths and even public figures like artist Banky W and Nollywood actor Olumide Owuru to double up on their political careers.
Lagos State can be better. It is time for a better Lagos. It is time for a better Etiosa. You know, if we get Etiosa correct, then Lagos has to be correct by force. If we get Lagos correct, Nigeria must be correct by force. If we get Nigeria correct, Africa will never be the same.
But even with the growing evidence of youth participation in politics, Nigerian youths have yet to achieve the level of inclusion required to gain representation in politics. According to the voter register released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on January 11, 2023, the number of registered eligible voters for the 2023 elections was over 93 million. With the youths making up over 33% of the registered voters, they certainly held the greatest voting advantage.
I bet, men are dead, they made them change something. When they close this day, men are dead, and only say they go promise every day, promise. Don't you promise tire? Now so they go talk, I don't pay us for toll.
With the new bill that's been passed into law by the Buhari administration, the new electoral bill, the hope is for a new, fair, free, and transparent election. And we hope that this new bill that has been signed into law will encourage another generation of young Nigerians to come out and vote and to trust the electoral process.
On election day, the same device will become the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, to be used first for fingerprint identification during accreditation, and why it fails for facial identification. The new mantra is that no electronic accreditation, no voting.
So the INEC result portal cannot function without the BVAS. That's how important it is, and people call it the game changer.
Generally, the presidential elections have always been between two major political parties, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the All Progressive Congress, APC. However, the general elections in 2023 took a different turn. Peter Obi, a former governor of Anambra State, ran for the office of president under Labour Party. He was loved by many, especially the youths, which made it even more challenging for any of the candidates to win the election. But he wasn't the only other strong candidate. The previous governor of Kano, Kwankwaso, running under the New Nigeria's People Party, was also a strong candidate.
I'm the youngest person who has ever at least gotten this far in the history of House of Assembly in Ikere too. So I have that thing of people not taking me serious.
In my community, for example, at the town hall meetings, women are not allowed to speak. So it's difficult for a woman who grows up in that community to think of running for office, you see. So culture has affected the entry. That is part of the barrier to entry. So it's easier for me who grew up in another culture where I was allowed to speak anywhere and then come back home and make the appeal and say, okay, well, and she can, so let her try. So I am going to be one of those who will be responsible, because if I do well, when I do well as a local government chairman, it gives me the opportunity to speak, to plead, to see how I behaved. I did well. Help my sisters. Let my sisters try. If I could do this, that, and the other, then maybe if we sit at this meeting and we all can put our ideas together, it will help us economically, socially, and then some people will nod. But if I do bad, it makes it more difficult to have that conversation. So the women who are getting in are the ones who are going to help open the doors for more women.
I'm not the first female to contest for House of Representative in Goza, Chibok, Damboa. There is one Asebe Vulita, our auntie, our mother in that area. as a leader. She did well before. That's why they are welcoming me, because they are hoping I will do more better than that as a leader.
Political space has been for the men. A lot of people don't believe a woman can come into the space and make a difference.
We use her as an example to show girls that yes, you can do it. It doesn't have to be what is written on the paper or what you see on videos. There is an example that we can actually talk to, refer to, and work with.
So imagine having her as a member House of Reps. She'll influence in a lot of things that will affect our lives positively. Because I know that she knows our feelings. She knows how we feel. She has been in Maiduguri and she has seen the horrible things that have happened to a lot of people. So I definitely know she's going to make a difference by representing and then at the same time advocating for us at the national level. I believe we know what is best for us and we've seen what she has done and we believe in what we see, not what we hear. So we'll definitely vote for her. Women will vote for her. Youth will vote for her because youth are the people she's been working with and she's a youth too. So her chances of winning is very high.
I was in the All Progressive Party before, and when I felt that the governor and most of the politicians that are local really didn't like some of us that are a bit educated. I'm not the person that will come and be praise singing you. I'm the kind of person that I'll tell you, Excellency, the decision you want to take, I think is wrong because of this and that. They don't want that. They want someone to say, yes, sir, whatever you're doing is right. When I saw the body language, I decided to concentrate more on federal, national party activities, and I was doing well. And I thought that after all the work I put in the party, that I will be rewarded with the opportunity for a free and fair election for me to get a ticket. Unfortunately, there was nothing like free and fair elections in primaries in the major parties.
General election, the interest is always more than every other election. So that was number one reason why we decided that, okay, whatever position we are going to run for, it must be within the general election. Now we started to look at what are the positions, what are the offices that are within the general election. So we pinpoint them, and the lowest of those positions was House of Representatives. It was a very good position that would have run for. All we needed was to win 3 local government elections, and we are there. But we discovered, because part of our drive is that we want more female representation in the political space, more especially in the place of decision making as large as National Assembly. So for Ogun, in the history of Ogun, we have just one female at the National Assembly. So we decided that we were not going to contest that election because we want more female representation. So we decided to look for something else. And that brought us to us running, for the senatorial seats.
Many places here, every me pé kò sí presence omi, kò sómi bí, a dẹ̀ believe pé tírú ẹ̀yẹn bá débẹ̀, a lè ṣe omi fún àwọn community, fún àwọn àdúgbò. Bí orúkọ tó jẹ́ náà, ìsinmi dé, tó bá débẹ̀, ìsinmi máa dá wa ní constituency 2, agbára Ọlọ́run.
We have a representative now that cannot, for 70 years, bring out a bill. He has never had a motion. He cannot even contribute in discussions because he does not understand what they are talking about. One of the major problems that we face in our constituency is health. As old, as big as Hadejia is, our people have to drive to Kano to go to hospital, drive to Jahun. Jahun is not an Emirates. Our people have to drive into Uguru State to go to hospital, as big as Hadejia. It is very, 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 very disappointing. We have lost so many people because of malaria, typhoid, diseases that can be solved. Pregnant women dying because of lack of hospital. It's a terrible, to have 8 local governments and Hadejia being the biggest down there, not having a hospital, not having a standard hospital that can cater for its people. Education, I think, is the most important aspect of what I want to do. Education in the sense of not only school education, no. Education for my people to understand what the National Assembly, the member of the National Assembly, the senator, what do you expect for him? What do you expect the chairman to do for you? What do you expect the governor to do for you?
My job is not to implement projects. My job is not to fix capital issues. My job is to make laws and provide oversight functions. So that's my main duty as a legislator.
With a wealth of experience in tech, entrepreneurship, and non-profits, Simi has gone on to provide innovative ways to empower young people through technology.
I set up this organization called Aspilos Foundation, and we started our first project in October 9, 2015. Started up our first project called Abo Coders. Abo is Yoruba word for female, so literally female coders. And what we do, what they do now, is to train young women from low-income families on web development, data science, and product design. So that continued growing the organization. We branched out to other things. I've always been interested in 2 things: economic empowerment for people, and then fixing the system, governance, and all of that.
Growing up in a lower middle-class family in Osogbo, she's had a fair share of hardships. However, this only fueled her passion for change.
I have absolute confidence in my ability to earn enough to sustain me at the level I want. I think I got that from my mom, the ability to work hard and just stay at it and work hard. So while my dad gave me the freedom to talk, I learned how to speak without fear from her. I always say that my mom was born in the wrong generation. I feel like if she was born in our generation, she would have been so fierce and out there and all of that. We didn't grow up rich at all, so that's my thing. We're not rich. I explain my family as a middle-class family that fell on hard times. My dad, both of them were well read. My mom went to University of Ibadan. My dad went to University of Liberia, but things just happened. My dad was out of job for quite a long time, and it was a struggle. So we're depending on just my mom's income, and she was a government worker, state government worker. So I understood hardship. I've been sent out of school for not paying some school fees, but then it was all fun to us.
After devoting the greater part of her career to working in various NGOs, she soon realized that to see the change she wanted, she'd need more power and influence. So she joined politics.
When you say the big fish in the river, everybody have their eyes on one person. I'm actually running, against a 2-term governor of this state. If such a people are not challenged, then there is a problem. It's just like when you say in the entire states, as far as Ogun is concerned, one person has run as a governor for 2 terms, is now coming back to run as a senator. Is it that we don't have any other good head in that state or in that central district? I want to beg to differ that I am one of the good heads that are in that central district, and I am ready to challenge the status quo.
A report released by Yaga Africa indicated a decline in youth candidacy from the 2019 elections to the 2023 general elections. The reason? The cost of nomination forms was too high. The same government, so enthusiastic about young people getting involved in politics, knowingly permitted nomination forms to be so expensive. Could this be a deliberate action to exclude the young ones? You see, to win an election, you need 2 things: money and influence, both of which a godfather provides as long as you do what he wants. This way, they stay in power without actually being in power. And since they prefer older candidates, the younger ones are left at a disadvantage, defeating the entire point of the Not Too Young to Run bill.
We all understand the need for mentorship. And in politics, it's more important, I think, than most other fields to have someone who is speaking for you when you're not in the room, who is guiding you right, because the wrong statements or the wrong move in politics can mark the end of your political career. In politics, we seem to have been saddled with a certain level of godfatherism that is self-serving. So they will mentor you, they will guide you, but only insofar as you remain loyal to their interests and their ambitions.
Elections is extremely expensive. So most people are left with no choice but to get money from the godfathers. And there's a challenge comes. So now that you're beholden to a godfather is giving you a ticket, how are you going to say no to this person when they come with demands? So I would say, one of the best ways to get money is in two ways. Talk to HNIs who will not put on any pressure on you later on to do stuff. That's people who believe in you. But we don't have a lot of that, of those people here. Second is crowdfunding, right? And crowdfunding isn't yet a thing that works very well in Nigeria. It's just one of a few that get lucky or that goes really viral. So what are candidates left with? Either they spend their own money. For the most part, people don't have the money. So it's easy for us, for people on the outside to attack and say, well, godfatherism, but you need to look at it like, it's the system, it's what we've made it to be, or it's what it is. How else will candidates get in there if somebody is not sponsoring them? How else will they get the money? So I do understand how people have gotten themselves into that position. I really, really, really hope that a lot more young people who already are comfortable on their own, maybe who will know how to raise money outside the usual circles, or who have a network around them that can at least boost them to some level. So
I feel northern politicians to some extent don't like grooming young people. They feel a lot of us, especially that we're educated or we are well traveled, are a threat to them. They don't think that, okay, if you groom us and you put us there, we'll still be loyal to you. No, they rather have uneducated touts to be filling offices from councillor to governors. You have people putting people there just to do their bidding, and not because they feel that they have the capacity or capability or character, for the post.
The influence of godfathers is also felt in the party primaries. Typically, party primaries are conducted through a direct or indirect method. In the direct method, all registered party members are allowed to vote for their preferred candidate as the party's representative in the general election. However, in the indirect method, a group of people known as delegates are chosen to vote on behalf of the entire party. Banky W almost lost his ticket when a backdoor primary election was held in his absence and another candidate was selected.
Luckily for us, the party did some investigations and saw that there were some discrepancies, to say the least. So they've said that all over Lagos and in a few other states, we must do the House of Reps primaries again. And that's fine by us, because we just want to do the actual primaries elections and let the people decide and let the choice of the people stand.
Unfortunately, rigging isn't just limited to party politics. It is also very well practiced in state and gubernatorial elections.
I want to test my popularity by the public, not by some delegates that are controlled and handpicked by an individual, somebody that feels he's God. There was nothing like internal party democracy. If there was internal party democracy, we would be getting better candidates.
The political space has been monetized, which we have been facing a lot of challenges, because whenever we go out to communities which are part of our representative, we tend to face these challenges of finding what we have to give to people in order to get their attention in campaign. Our region, which is not still accessible by road, places like Damboa, which you cannot access from Maiduguri, have been giving us a lot of hitches because we can't find our way to Dambuwa and some other parts of our constituency. So the security issue have also contributed to the challenges we have been facing.
In 2015, when President Muhammadu Buhari came into power, many people expected the former Major General to crack down on armed groups. Instead, the violence escalated, leaving many displaced or dead.
Especially the Dambuwa-Maiduguri road, which has been closed for a very long time during the span of the insurgency until recently when it has been opened. And even while the road is still open, you have to follow the military convoy for escort for you to reach Dambuwa safely. And then you cannot apply the road on a daily basis. It has to be scheduled by the military whenever they have carried out clearance before people can join the convoy and go to places like Dambuwa, and some part of Chibok and Goza is still not accessible due to the security issues we have been facing in our own constituency. So these security challenges have been giving us a lot of challenges, and this is why we have been finding it difficult to reach our people with our campaign and our mandate and what we have for them and how we really want to influence their lives.
You need to spend a lot of money on logistics and other things that is not your job. People will call you to be asking you to do a borehole for them. Yes, if you can afford it as a Nigerian, you should do it. But if I'm doing it for you to vote for me, I feel I'm already buying your vote, meaning that if I do all of these things and I get there, how do I get my money back? That's the reason why politicians, you ask them for something before election, they will give you. After election, they won't give you nothing, even what is constitutionally right.
APC is full. They can't give me tickets. And even if PDP is full, I can say it's full because they can't give us tickets. So I decided to go to other small party to pick my form and contesting.
I'm particular about two areas, education and economic development, especially for micro enterprises. And I'm particular about technology education. So how can we use policy? How can we use research, to improve education? The funding you get from the states, to my mind, is limited, to really make a dent or to change, because things have gotten so bad. But one thing I have to my advantage is the fact that I have worked, in the non-profit sector. So when it comes to attracting grants, when it comes to attracting support from other organizations, international support, that's one thing I'm good at, right? There are organizations right now that are just ready for me to get into office, who have committed to doing some health projects with us. They are committed to doing some projects for female entrepreneurs. I gave that example when I started speaking of how we partner with the government in Abeokuta to set up a coding academy. So now I'm on the other side. And so we're trying to do a lot more of that. So, okay, I'm going to start looking for organizations out there who can collaborate with us to help the constituency. So all these little things, water, education. So see what constituency projects we can bring about via that.
Kò sí nǹkan kan táwọn obìnrin rí nínú òṣèlú. Gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣe fún wa tí wọ́n ti débẹ̀ tán máa ń tàn wá jẹ. Ẹlòmíràn á kàn máa promise wa ni a máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún wọn. Ó sì nǹkan tẹ́ pé wọ́n máa ṣe fún wa àti gbọ́ gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣe látẹ̀yìn kó di pé ó wá fún House of Assembly àdẹ̀mọ̀ wípé ó dẹ̀ máa ṣe jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ because èèyàn takuntakun ni ó tún jẹ́ onírẹ̀lẹ̀ ó jẹ́ tẹ́ pé ó mú àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn obìnrin ní ọ̀kúnkúndùn ẹ bá rí oríṣiríṣi àwọn nǹkan tó ti ń ṣe fún àwọn obìnrin kó ló di pé wá gbé àpótí àdẹ̀dúpẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run náà máa mú débẹ̀ ní ayọ̀ àtàlàáfíà.
So she's not even been elected, but I know the amount of times because I work with women and a lot of my work has to do with policy, gender-based violence, empowerment and stuff. I know a lot of times she says, Sasu, I have this woman who needs this and this and this and this in my constituency. How far? What can we do? I wonder, and sometimes I ask her about what the heck were you thinking? You know, sometimes it's safer for people like us who are in development. You know, you want to help the grassroots people, you want to work with people one-on-one and stuff like that, but to take on governing, some of us are not as brave as to campaign. So some of us will say, oh, we'll work with policymakers, we'll lobby for laws, we'll do all that. But she's brave, you know, and I think that her constituency should be proud to have such a young woman, you know, who has a lot of opportunities and things she can do. But she chooses, because this for me, this is what it is, it's sacrifice. It's that I'm doing this, you know, not because they're going to pay me anything. But I'm doing this because, you know, we need to change some things, and let me put myself in front, you know. So that's the kind of person that she is.
You know, there's so much focus on the executive, on governors, and on the presidency, but the people that really hold up, you know, any democracy are your assembly members, either at state assembly or the National Assembly. More and more, as we started speaking to people and we started interacting with politicians, it became quite obvious that Simi was. And this is all like a humble brag, but she was heads and shoulders above many of the people who were running for office, many of the people who were in the national and state assemblies. And I think it took a lot of guts, a lot of courage on her part, but she decided to leave the NGO space and dive headfirst into politics. I ran, I fancy myself an institutional member of the party. I was unable to secure my ticket, but Simi was able to. So even though she wasn't, you know, Simi doesn't come across as your atypical politician. She brings to bear a level of organization and strategy and mobilization on a level I personally have never seen before. So I wasn't surprised when she got the ticket. I fully anticipate that she'll win the general elections. And I'm really looking forward to Simi improving the quality of legislation that comes out of the Ekiti State House of Assembly.
Nigerians signed up to vote in record numbers ahead of Election Day, February 25th. After 8 tough years under President Muhammadu Buhari, many people felt that a lot needed to change. As expected, the 2023 general election saw no shortage of political violence and electoral malpractice. There were many instances of political thugs breaking into collation centers to obstruct voting procedures. They destroyed voting equipment, threatened and harmed coalition officers and voters.
There's no election! There's no election! Look at our ballot box! Look at it! How much they give you?
Mrs. Jennifer Efedi, a voter, was stabbed in the face by thugs who disrupted the voting process in Surulere, Lagos. A total of 109 deaths linked to political violence were recorded from the start of the year to 10th March 2023. This was one of the major reasons for the decline in voter turnout.
I can't just go and waste my time because the vote doesn't count.
Out of the total 93.47 million registered voters, only 24.9 million persons voted in the general elections in a country of over 200 million people. The elections were also marred by widespread accounts of voter irregularities, logistical issues, and delay in uploading the polling unit results on the INEC Result Viewing Portal, IREV. The Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, which was purpose-built to read permanent voters' card, PVCs, and avert chances of electoral tampering, conveniently failed during the election. What about missing names in INEC's final list? Olumide Oworu, Adewale Shokoya, and many more had their names missing from INEC's list.
I challenged the case at the Federal High Court, and the report of the Federal High Court came out, and I won the case. And you know, the party ticket was given to me back. And after then, my opponent challenged the case at the appeal court, The appeal court chose not to look at the merit of the case. They choose to go by technicalities. And, they threw away the judgment of the Federal High Court and said it was in the favor of my opponent. Then after that, we were not satisfied. We proceeded to the Supreme Court, challenging the case. And the Supreme Court chose to, uphold the judgment of the appeal, court. At the end of the day, even by our projection and everything, the election happened, and at the outcome of the election, it was my name that was on the result sheets. We believe that if we had, or if we have been, privileged to have the chance to campaign, properly when we are to do the campaign, we are confident that we would have won this election.
There were some young candidates we couldn't interview for safety reasons. One in particular said, "Don't come. I can't guarantee your safety." Sadly, none of the candidates mentioned in this documentary won the elections in their constituencies.
The elections in Jigawa in particular was marred by rigging. We have gone to court. Whatever the court does, we're going to appeal. We're going to take it to the appeal court, even if we're going to lose. We're going to just continue putting pressure on the system and on the institutions till they do what is right by Nigerians.
When we started getting some of the results and realized, no, we're not going anywhere, people started crying. And I mean, adults, grown men, women, like, people. I was the one consoling people. This race has created a bond between me and my people that I did not even expect. I'm still very much convinced that this thing is doable. It's doable. And I really want as many young people out there to jump into this thing. Like, it's a frustrating, difficult thing, but trust me, it is doable, right? I've gone through this process now. I've spent 2 years of my life dealing with those people. I think I'm a little bit of an OG now, and I still have a lot more to do. The more we are, the easier it gets. The winning would have been the icing on the cake, but the journey itself has been amazing.
To birth the great Nigeria we all dream of, we need to be more intentional with our involvement in politics. We cannot effect change from the outside. It can only be from the inside. We have the brains, we have the resources. It's left for us to mobilize and strategize and be willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to make things work. Despite the obstacles politics posed to this young aspirant, they defied all odds and took a stand for their country, winning some battles and losing others. Their stories are a testament to the possibility of a new Nigeria.